you would like to share. Okay. So Alan has written, the Resource Management Division team appreciates all that.
I finally got to that.
There he is. Go ahead, Alan.
Sorry about that, folks. You know, every once in a while I get pretty technically challenged on getting my cursor to the right spot on the screen so I can unmute myself. You know, I don't even, you know, what I've written there cannot express the appreciation I have for all of you, particularly those who work with my staff, with Neil and Allison, Ellie Holdhusen, and Nancy Duncan and Adam Muhlenberg, and all the work that you guys help out for our resource management division. We just, I couldn't, you know, I don't get out from behind this funky curtain that I have here called the administrative desk to meet with you folks and everything, but that does not belie the appreciation I have for all the ridiculously hard work. And there's even some days when I did show up, you know, out of cold water stuff. It's like 95 degrees and 95% humidity. And here these guys are out working, and I was going like, really? I just came from a really cool air-conditioned office, you know, man. So yeah, I'm beyond words, to be honest with you. To just this park, really seriously, and this is not an exaggeration, would be in a world of hurt with all of you folks. The river would not be as wonderful and beautiful and its future as bright as it possibly can be with all your extra help. And I really dislike these Zoom meetings. No offense to all of you who are here, appreciate it. But I can't give you a personal handshake, but here's a virtual one. And for those of you who love hugs, which I do, here's a great big one from me to all of you for working so dang hard in our park. I don't, you know, you can read what I put on the screen there, which I hope you did while I was yammering on back and forth. But again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Alan. Very well said. Next up, Erin Steinville. Is Erin in the meeting? I don't believe she made it tonight. Erin, please speak up if you want to, but many of you have worked with Erin. She's a previous Habitat Restoration Ranger, seasonal, but she's been on permanent with the education team for a little while now, and public programs too, actually. She says, thank you for making our park such an amazing place to work. Every day you arrive smiling and full of wonderful stories to share. Your dedication to our park and our river is amazing, and we wouldn't reach nearly as many people without your efforts. Thank you for being the wonderful people you are, sharing your gifts, thoughtfulness, and your time. Thank you, Erin, for writing in, and I absolutely echo what Erin says. Dressler, I think you're in the meeting. If you would like to say a few words, you're welcome to.
He may have had to jump off.
Okay.
Because he's managing, like many staff tonight have two things to be at, so they're bouncing back and forth between the two when they can. But I know Dan really wanted to give a good shout out to all of the volunteers at the Mississippi River Visitor Center and St. Anthony Falls. We couldn't staff those sites without your help, and Dan says he never worries that we will have enough volunteers to fill all of our spots at our visitor centers, and that is 100% true and would not be possible to keep both visitor centers open without all of you supporting our work there.
Great. Lyndon Torstensen, who has recently retired, was our education manager for the National Park Service. I don't remember his exact title, but he writes, I'm so grateful to all those steadfast volunteers who've been part of Big River Journey and other education field trips for all these years. Wow, I just want them to know how much they're appreciated. My NPS hat is off to them all. I wish Lyndon was at the meeting because he is a very eloquent speaker, and the speech he gave at his going away party maybe made me cry in public, but I also echo what Lyndon says here. Thank you so much to all of our education volunteers. You have had an especially tough time over the last couple of years getting our field trips back up in motion and getting involved in digging into what you enjoy doing, which is working and volunteering at the education programs. So thank you to all of you, especially. Anna Waugh, is Anna Waugh at the meeting? I think Anna Waugh's away as well.
So Anna said, I'd like to do a special shout out to all of the volunteers.
I am here.
Oh, Anna.
Anna's
Sorry,
here.
Anna.
But I took a second to get off of my mute too. But yes, you can see there. I just wanted to say, kind of in addition to what's written there, how much I love learning from so many of you. You bring so much wisdom and knowledge, and it's been really great to get to know you over many years and really consider many of you to be friends. So thank you for everything you do for the park. And I think that one of the really special things too is just to get to know each of you too. So thank you so much for everything.
Thanks, Anna. Much appreciated. Okay, so here we go.
On to the accomplishments. So the big reveal. Here it is. This is what I sent in for our volunteer report this year. It's not our highest numbers, but it's higher than last year already. And we are already, based on what happened in October and November, on a very great start to our 2022 numbers. But these are our 2021 numbers. We had 5,904 volunteers come out and support us with 34,244 hours, and our Minnesota volunteer hour value, $28.54 an hour, gives all of your service a grand total of $977,323 worth of service to the river this year, which is a lot. That's not a number that I understand in terms of money. So thank you all very much for coming out and contributing that much to our river, and more than that, all of the great things that the environment gained from your and the community gained from your participation in the volunteer program this year. A few highlights. As Andrew mentioned earlier, the Plant for the Future campaign, we got to the 1,500 trees goal. St. Anthony Falls served 7,000 more visitors this summer than any other summer or any other fiscal year. So that is pretty amazing. So I know it was very hot summer at St. Anthony Falls this year. So thank you to everybody that took even one shift standing out on the concrete heat desert that is St. Anthony Falls this summer to welcome people and show them around the Mississippi River. And we added 2 new monarch monitoring sites this year, which was a really fun addition to our program this year and allowed more people to be part of that program, which is really a really fun and rewarding program.
Man.
Okay, so we are on to the award winners. Do we have a drum roll, Andrew?
We're gonna go up the line here, starting off with those who have reached their very first volunteer milestone of 25 hours. These are folks who, many of them are new to the program and have decided to come back and stick it out with us. 25 hours, typically equates to around 8 events or so. So when we get up to the 1,500 hour award, people keep that in mind. It takes a lot of work to get there, but these folks have taken the first steps and shown some commitment, and we're really, really, really happy to have you all on board. 72 hours is next up. These are folks who are probably year after year coming to volunteer with us, volunteering for education events, habitat restoration, but it takes a lot of work and volunteering to get to those places. So you all deserve to be recognized in a big way. Thank you all so much. 150 hours. These are folks now who are a major part of our volunteer force. These are people who have taken on leadership roles or taken on regular opportunities and really stuck it out for the long run. Thank you to each and every one of you. At 250 hours, we've got some folks who are sticking out even further, and I'm really happy to see a few names on here, people that even just sort of got started when I started a few years ago and have put in a lot of time. So thank you again to each and every one of you. Paula, I'll give it off to you at this point.
All right, 500 hours this year are Barb and Paul. Nice work, you two. Barb helps out a lot at Coldwater, and Paul has been busy getting ready for Trails and Rails. Each year, as many of our Trails and Rails volunteers have continued to put time in, even though we haven't been out on the train the last few years, but they continue to crush in hours. And so thank you both for the work that you've done to get all the way up to 500 hours. It's unbelievable. And 1,000 hours. I was looking back at the slides from last year. Dorothy and Elizabeth, you were both in the previous category last year, which means you put in just a crazy number of hours in just this last year. So special shout out to Dorothy and Elizabeth for reaching the 1,000 hours club, a not easy to achieve volunteer milestone.
It's quite an elite group at this point. Yep.
Ed, 1,500 hours. Oh my gosh. Ed is one of our volunteers that is all over. You can find Ed just about every place that we're doing volunteer events, and he is much beloved by the staff, and they spare nothing in reminding me of that frequently. Ron, my gosh, Ron continues to put hours in. Again, another person that's been around for many, many years and has done what seems like kind of a little bit of everything to get into those 2,000 hours of volunteering. So, right, nice work, Ron. Thanks for everything. Oh my gosh. Tell the staff all the time. Lee Larson has been working Fridays at Mississippi River Visitor Center since the day I started and before. And as someone who's worked for the park for 11 years, that feels like that's a lot of Fridays at Mississippi River Visitor Center, supporting us over there, and just a true Friday hero at MRVC.
Just so everybody knows, Lee is the reason we have to keep creating new categories. So thank you, Lee.
Pushing the bounds.
So we also, at this time of year, recognize folks who not only have put in a large volume of hours, but also who've been with us for a considerable amount of time. So this year's 10 years in service list is actually quite long, and there's a few names on here that I'm particularly familiar with. I see quite a few of our habitat restoration crew leaders on here. Lori Bruno and Mary Hilfiger is also a crew leader for us. Kenel Tackett, a good friend of mine and a longtime volunteer now too. And Larry Martin, of course, who are all habitat restoration people that I work with quite frequently. This list prompted me to think about a few things. One of them is that I remember Kenel telling me a while back that Coldwater Crew is actually how he got started volunteering for the park. And that prompted us to realize that this is also the 10-year anniversary of Coldwater Crew this year. We now have been at Coldwater Spring for 11 or 12 years. And the prairie restoration there, which was largely conducted by volunteers, And Neil's team is now 10 years in the making. And for those of you who have been to that site and or watched it evolve over the years, I think you can recognize the extreme impact that that crew has had. Paula, would you like to say anything else?
No, just thank you. 10 years is a long time to stick with us, and I really appreciate your continued support in the work that we do.
All right.
And again, there's Lee Larson and David Schmidt pushing us to have to create categories. I think we're destined for 20 years at some point, a category, but special shout out to David and Lee for sticking with us for 15 years. That's, you know, I have little kids at home and they haven't been alive that long. So it's pretty cool to be with an organization that long.
Great. Thank you to everyone who has put in their time and effort this year. And if you didn't get recognized this year, keep it up and you'll show up on the slides in the near future. Next up, we will be announcing some of our more dedicated awards. These are groups and or people that have been nominated by our staff, and we as a group have chosen the winners. There are many excellent contenders, and choosing is never ever an easy task, but these are the folks who we have chosen for our big awards this year. So Youth Volunteer Group of 2021 is a group of young people who have been volunteering with us for a couple of years here and there. They are the Edison Green Team. The Edison Green Team is a group of high schoolers from Thomas Edison High School in Minneapolis. We've partnered with them on a few events, but they in particular are being awarded this year because of the dedication that we see in these young people to natural resources and sustainability. Their group is a group of students who are dedicated to sustainability education and making sure that our communities and our natural spaces stay green. I've read about a few of their other projects that they've taken on, including getting a organics recycling program going on at their school. And they are truly a group of standout young people who we're very grateful are a part of our volunteer program. So well done, Edison Green Team. Well done. Congratulations. Next up, we have Volunteer Group of 2021. This is another group that is dear to me because I feel like they were one of the first volunteer groups to sort of adopt me and make me feel like I was kind of a volunteer leading superstar. So this particular group for 2021 is Merchology. If you haven't heard of Merchology yet, it's probably because you're not a part of our habitat restoration program, but if you are, you have very likely heard their names. Merchology is a company in the Twin Cities who manufactures clothing and prints logos on them, among other things. They are a stalwart volunteer group for us, and I think our corporate group that volunteered the most in 2021 by a long shot. I remember in the spring when Katie reached out to me and said, hey, we want to plan a volunteer event like basically every 2 weeks through the entire year. And I said, wow, that is excellent. And I'm extremely excited to set you up with that. Again, I really appreciate this group so much, not only because of the amount of times that they've come out and tackled projects for us, but also because every time I go out with them, I meet some truly excellent and personable people who I genuinely love getting to know and seeing them come back again and again to programs. So Merchology did an incredible job in 2021, and we're looking forward to what we get up to in the future. So thank you very much. Next up.
Our park program of 2021 is one of our reoccurring groups that's out there continuing to work on a particular site, and they have really taken a giant leap this year, receiving lots of recognition for the work that they've been doing, and planting some extra spaces this year, and just really having a pretty epic year. So with that, our volunteer program of 2021 is Friends of Upper Landing Park and Trails. I saw many of your names on there. If you are a Friends of Upper Landing person, please say as such in the chat so we can see all of your names roll off on the chat. Friends of Upper Landing has been busy, of course, at Upper Landing, and this year they installed 2 new gardens. They have a huge effort to clean up trash along the section of the river and the park. They're kind of a wind tunnel down there along the river, so lots of things blowing around constantly, a never-ending task to just keep the park looking fresh and clean, as well as keeping up with the plants. You know, this year, especially with any planting that got done, it required a lot of watering. If you've ever been part of a bucket brigade or hauling water, it is a thankless and warm workout, shall we say, to get all of the plants watered. So special shout out to Friends of Upper Landing this year for all you have done. You've really put in an extra effort this year.
Okay. We have 2 more awards. The first is a Volunteer of the Year, and then we have our Enduring Service Award. So Volunteer of the Year is someone who has put in an extremely standout effort over the last 12 months. And our Enduring Service Award is for someone who has, over a long period of time, made a lasting impact on the park. So I'm very, very excited to announce the Volunteer of the Year this year. They're a close friend of mine, and someone who never fails to bring me a great smile on my face when I see them show up to an event or any of our other functions. So without further ado, our Volunteer of the Year for 2021 is Lee Vu. I so excited to announce this. Lee is formerly a colleague from Park Connection, and in the years since leaving has put in a grand amount of effort into improving our programs and making our public spaces accessible and inclusive. And she is a wonderful teacher. She is a wonderful program leader and an excellent person all around. I've got a few other people who have a couple of things to share. Tamara, if you would like to go first, that'd be awesome.
Yes, yay, Lee. Lee, you are just so passionate about the river and all the lands that are along its shores. When Lee is not in the Boundary Waters in the summer, she is on the Mississippi River. She's always kayaking in her free time. But more than that, Lee is just dedicated to showing others the beauty and the power and peace that comes along with being on the river. Lee is super passionate about teaching paddling skills and showing people that anyone can kayak and canoe, which is exactly what Lee did this past year by co-leading kayaking and paddling wild BIPOC events on the river. Lee is super knowledgeable and reliable. I knew that if Lee was leading a paddle, then everything would be okay. Lee just empowers participants to feel confident on the water and realize that the water in the river isn't something to fear while paddling. So Lee, thank you for your passion and dedication to the river.
Thanks, Tamara. And I think, Quentin, would you like to share a couple words too?
Definitely, Tamara. That was those beautiful words. Lee, congratulations. We appreciate everything you do, as a volunteer and just in life. That bottom picture is from the very first event that I worked with you, and it was maybe the most beautiful day of the summer. We were paddling and the sun was setting as we were paddling, and it was beautiful weather. Just made the year. Yeah, that was a great day. So as all of you may know by now, I'm a little bit poetic, or at least I try to be. So my words here are now, if you know Lee, you know she shines bright like the summer sun over the Mississippi River, soars high in life like an eagle in the fall, and gives life like a prairie in the spring. As we move through all the seasons in Minnesota, you'll find Lee outdoors supporting the park as an incredible volunteer and human. We are all so very thankful for Lee's volunteering throughout the year. Lee helps make many of the events we put on possible. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you times a million, Lee. You absolutely deserve it, and thank you for everything that you do. Next up, we will announce our final award of the night. That is the Enduring Service Award. So Paula, go ahead.
During service, this one is, as you saw, we're creating categories and, expanding our volunteer recognition each and every year. Enduring service is always a very hard category for us to select the winner because we always have so many names to choose from. So shout out to everyone that's been an enduring service volunteer. But this year's award winner has contributed over 1,300 hours. I just ran this volunteer's report and it had 311 lines. In 311 different days, this volunteer has been out in our park volunteering. And this may start to give it away for a few of you, but all but a very small, maybe a dozen of those hours have been put in at Coldwater Spring. And with that, our Enduring Service Volunteer of the Year is Larry Martin. Larry has been a true enduring volunteer at Coldwater Spring, and this year has contributed, in addition to his Tuesdays and Thursdays, he does both of them at Coldwater Spring. He was also out there this spring to help with, this is Larry at the prescribed wildland fire this spring, helping out with that effort. He also went out and volunteered to help with, there was some masonry work done on the spring house, and he was there to support that person as well in whatever way he could. And we just thought this was the year, and his name just came up so many different times. And instead of reading the nominations, I am going to call in Neil as one of the, I see he's on. There was other nominations from other staff that aren't on, but I'm going to call in Neil to share his words of nomination for Larry Martin, or whatever he wants to say.
Yeah, thanks, Paula. Honestly, I can't think of a better person to have win this award. Larry is extremely dedicated, and he is like the ultimate buckthorn slayer. So anytime you see him at Coldwater, he's going to have a saw in his hand, and he's going to be cutting down buckthorn that's bigger than I am. And he's unwavering. He's always there, Tuesdays, Thursdays, no matter the weather. He'll come out sometimes when it's not Tuesday or Thursday and just start cutting buckthorn on his own. And that place would not look the same without people like Larry, and especially Larry himself. So I can't thank you enough, Larry. You're an amazing volunteer, a great person, and I'm lucky to get to work with you and know you. So thank you again.
Alan, you want to chime in your words as well?
Sure, hang on a minute here. I think you, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the very first ones out there. And probably even preceded, let's put it this way. When I was trying to be the Neil, which I could never be a Neil out of that project site, by the way. But you folks all came out and started that whole clearing that site and making it, you know, to what it is today. And the day that I remember coming out and talking to you, you were still out there. It was 95 degrees and 95% humidity, and I was going, oh my goodness. But Larry, you're crazy, crazy good. So appreciate all the work you put in out there. And I know Neil just mentioned it as well, but for somebody who sits behind a desk most of the days and trying to make sure that everybody has the resources to do a good job, you show up every day almost, and just, it's great. Thank you, and thank you.
So tomorrow is Thursday morning, Cold Water Crew Thursday, and I had 3 people drop out. So if anybody wants to go give their you know, cheers to Larry tomorrow morning, go ahead and sign up tonight to be part of Cold Water Crew tomorrow morning and get a chance to see the Enduring Service Volunteer of the Year in person tomorrow morning at Coldwater Spring. So just wanted to throw that opportunity out there in case some of you are like, oh, I really want to get out and see Larry in person. So, all right, onward.
Onward. We just got a few last things and then we'll wrap it up here. So I wanted to give a special shout out to the MPC board members. These people are also volunteers amongst your cohort. They serve a little bit different function to our organization in that they are on the board of the nonprofit. But many of the activities that we do and a lot of the restoration that takes place in our park is funded and supported thanks to these people. They put in many hours, tracked and untracked, to make our park flow smoothly in partnership with the National Park Service. So we've had a few new members this year, and we are so thankful that you decide to dedicate your time to our organization. We literally would not be able to be a nonprofit without you. So thank you.
A special shout out to all of our AmeriCorps team members. If you know anything about the AmeriCorps program, none of our teammates are getting rich on the AmeriCorps program, so they are definitely putting in a year of true service to not only the organizations that host them, but also to the Mississippi River as part of our team. And we honestly, Andrew, Mary, and I could not do what we do without the energy of our AmeriCorps teammates. They truly keep us lifted up, energized, and on our toes with new creative ideas and keeping us up with the times and trends and the community and volunteerism broadly. So thank you to all of you for sticking with us and letting us be your host site for this year.
And finally, our last AmeriCorps members who are not pictured in our last slide. This is the River Crew. They're Conservation Corps Minnesota, Iowa members. They are, you may or may not have seen them at events. They are folks who are specialized in habitat restoration and do a lot of our heavy lifting. When a big ash tree falls on our climate change plots, they are the first responders to that situation. Amelia, Matt, and Crystal are their names this year. And they have been fantastic partners, very flexible, very enthusiastic, and we appreciate them constantly. So thank you to the River Crew as well. With that, we have reached the end of our presentation for you tonight. Thank you again to every single one of you who comes and dedicates your time to this park. We've said it several times, but it's really true. We would not be able to do this without your help. So thank you so much to all the award winners and to everyone else who has put in even an hour of volunteering this year. Thank you so much. Paula, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Nope, I just second. Thank you so much. And thanks for sticking with us on the Zooms tonight. And hopefully we'll be together. Oh, Andrew, did you want to? Yes, we are going
Yes.
to try to do some gatherings this winter, some coffee, cocoa, bonfire meetups so that we can all be together in person after the holiday season sort of passes by, because we miss getting to be in person with all of you and catching up. So look forward to that in our mext newsletter. We'll be putting some dates down and starting to collect names for our coffee, cocoa, bonfire.
Yeah.
meetups.
Uh,
Thank you, all of you this year for the work you've done.
Yeah, and keep your eyes peeled. We got a few other opportunities coming up this winter too. Those of you who've been around a while know we have tree ID programs during the winter. You can come and learn how to identify trees with myself and a few of our other staff. We've got interpretive hikes hosted by NPS. Quentin and I are working on a series of trainings together on how to restore habitat, a few different facets of that. And some of our other staff will be making public engagement possible too. So keep your eyes on the newsletter and on the website. And I legitimately cannot wait to see you out there. So thank you to everybody once again. And we will call it a night. Silent applause. Thanks, everybody.
Here's some actual applause.
Hey,
Nice
thanks,
job.
Jessica.
Thanks, volunteers.
Andrew, for some reason, your suit just makes me feel like we're on a game show. Like, what's next?
We didn't we do a game show last year, Paula? Like a park ranger game show on Zoom?
We've tried doing Jeopardy. Well, I think the public programs team's done some stuff like that before, but the I think we've tried doing Jeopardy of sorts
Yeah.
with volunteer events before, but
You had the game nights too, the virtual game nights.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Because I
virtual.
won a book out of that.
Nice.
Ah, Ellen, it's so good to see you.
Andrew, I've been wondering if you're wearing like suit pants or sweatpants. This whole
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
top.
Yep. Kristen tried to get me to do it.